Hi everyone, my name is Sanjana and I'm going to be a senior in high school along with Eric. For our next interview, we conducted an interview with Dr. Joe Neglia at the University of Minnesota. Dr. Joe Neglia is a native of Southern California, completing his high school, collegiate, and postgraduate studies all in California. He completed his residency in pediatrics at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas, before completing his fellowship in pediatric hematology oncology at the University of Minnesota. Dr. Neglia has since stayed at the University of Minnesota and is currently a professor of pediatrics and public health and the chair of the Department of Pediatrics at the medical school at the University of Minnesota. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. Hi, how are you today, Dr. Neglia?
Doing good, thank you.
So I'll just ask a few questions here, and if you could answer, that would be great. Who inspires you and why?
Sure. Obviously that's a little bit of a hard question.
Mhm.
As a pediatric oncologist, you get a lot of inspiration from your patients.
Mhm.
Some of the most inspiring people I have met are teenagers and young adults who have cancer. They, will face, some very, very challenging times with large surgeries, 9 or 10 months of chemotherapy, hair loss, weeks in the hospital. And they pull through this with an incredible amount of just energy and positivity and decide they're not going to get beat. And, I also have lost a number of patients over the years to cancer, and the dignity that they handle these things with is incredibly remarkable. So I think that I put my patients high up on the list. I put my colleagues very high up on the list. I'm fortunate to go to work every day with a bunch of really smart, dedicated people. And on days when I'm not quite feeling like 100%, they are, and we all sort of help push and pull each other along. And the other nice thing about being in the university setting is I lead a department that does a lot of true breakthrough science. So
Right.
how to treat a certain cancer, what genes are activated in this disease, and maybe a target for a new drug. And I get to work with those researchers on a recurring basis, which has made a huge difference. And it's really exciting to see your the work of your department published in national journals, or better yet, actually delivered to the bedside. So all those things are probably what pulls together to keep me inspired and keep me going.
Yeah, have there been any mentors in your journey as you've gone along through your career where they have really inspired you to keep going in your career?
Yeah, I mean, probably the most influential person has been a physician named Ralph Feigen. I left California in 1981 for Texas. So, we like you in school, our years are academic years. So we started my residency there in July of 1981. And my father died unexpectedly in December of 1981. Ralph, Dr. Feigen was just an incredibly brilliant man, but an incredibly compassionate, individual who, literally showed up, got a phone call or got a pager message. We didn't have cell phones back then. Probably got a pager message during the middle of Temple, and showed up at the hospital, took me to his office, offered to pay for my flight back to California and everything. But really, he just consistently demonstrated his care for people that were in his charge, the learners at Baylor at the time. So I think Ralph's probably had a lot to do with feeling confident enough to do a job like this.
Right. And for the next question, on your road to where you are today, what is the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
So there's been more than one bump along the way.
Yeah.
Probably one of the largest bumps was not getting into medical school the first round when I applied. So,
Hmm.
this would have been in the late 1970s. This is, way back when uh, gas was like 40 cents a gallon. It's like that. Um, that was a challenge. I think, I think having, having my then girlfriend, now my wife, who's been my wife for 42 years, uh, you know, stick with me during that period of time.
Hmm.
Um, having, having, both my mother and my father there was hugely important.
Right.
But mostly it was a matter of learning how to be more confident. I had gone from a small Catholic high school, in Southern California to UC Irvine,
Hmm.
and there were a whole lot of kids coming into that freshman class that
Right.
were a heck of a lot smarter than I was, and that really was a time to have to turn up the game a lot. Uh,
Hmm.
so it was during those first 2 years I learned how to study for real because
Hmm.
I didn't really need to study in high school. It was all pretty self-evident. Um, and unfortunately, your grade point average is averaged out over 4 years and not just the 2 years since you figured it out.
Yeah.
Um, so got to go through the applications process a second time, but was
Hmm.
able to get in and decided at that point I was not going to limit myself uh, from things I wanted to do. Um, and made darn sure that I graduated at the top of my medical school class to
Hmm.
get the residency I wanted, where I wanted it. So learned a lot in that period of about 3 years.
So, what advice would you give to students that are struggling with motivation and need more confidence?
I think you need to understand that there are a, a whole lot of people in medicine, in science, and everywhere else that are not necessarily the smartest person out there, not
Hmm.
necessarily the most creative person out there, but they are the ones that are willing to put their head down and come to work every day, go to class every day, and seriously do the best they can do, um, and try and beat off all the distractions that are out
Hmm.
there to pull you away from that. Um, it's hard. I lived 10 minutes away from the beach in college. I mean, it's hard not to do those things, but I think persistence and having a focus and a vision for yourself is key. And people accomplish things all the time. People accomplish things.
As we can see, Dr. Neglia had a lot of great advice for any student or any person trying to pursue their goals. And we hope that you enjoyed, and please check in for the next video.